In 17th-century Puritan Massachusetts, the world is rigid, grey, and unforgiving. When the heavy wooden doors of the town prison push open, they reveal a young mother, Hester Prynne, stepping into the glaring sunlight with her infant daughter, Pearl, in her arms. She is led straight to the center of town. Her immediate punishment is public humiliation. For 3 hours, she must stand on the wooden planks of the town scaffold, subjected to the judgment of her entire community for the crime of adultery. But the permanent punishment rests on her chest. Hester has been ordered to wear the letter A on her gown for the rest of her life. Yet, instead of a simple cloth patch, she has stitched a large, elegant scarlet letter, heavily embroidered with gold thread, turning her mark of shame into a brilliant, defiant display. Standing above the crowd, the town's religious leaders demand she reveal the name of her child's father. Hester refuses. She looks down at the sea of faces and chooses absolute silence. Then, a complication. In the back of the crowd, Hester spots a familiar, older face. It is Roger Chillingworth, her husband, a man she assumed had died long ago in a shipwreck. Following the public spectacle, Hester is returned to her cell. Chillingworth manages to slip into the prison, using a false identity as a physician to gain private access to her. In the shadows of the cell, he corners her. He forces Hester to swear an oath. She will never reveal his true identity as her cuckolded husband. In exchange, he promises to quietly hunt down Pearl's father and ruin his life. This first daylight event on the town's wooden platform locks all 3 adult characters into their permanent paths. By the time Hester steps down, she is bound to public shame, Dimmesdale to hidden guilt, and Chillingworth to a search for secret revenge. By refusing to speak that single name, Hester removes the possibility of a swift legal conclusion. The town's physical structure for punishment becomes the starting point for a private war between these 3 figures. Several years pass. Hester and Pearl relocate to an isolated cottage bordering the deep woods on the edge of Boston, living in near total solitude. Cut off from normal society, Hester survives by taking in piecework. She uses her remarkable skill with a needle to earn a meager living, spending whatever free time she has quietly nursing the sick and helping the poor. Meanwhile, Pearl grows older. She develops into a wildly unpredictable, disobedient child, intensely fixated on the bright scarlet her mother wears. Back in the center of town, Arthur Dimmesdale, a young and universally beloved master, is deteriorating. He suffers from a mysterious wasting illness that leaves him clutching his chest in pain. Seeing an opportunity, Chillingworth leverages his new reputation as a talented doctor. He convinces the town's leadership to let him move into Dimmesdale's home, ostensibly to provide round-the-clock medical care. Chillingworth has a working theory. He observes the minister closely and concludes that Dimmesdale's physical collapse is actually the biological symptom of a deeply guarded guilty conscience. One afternoon, he gets his proof. Finding Dimmesdale deep asleep, Chillingworth creeps up to the chair, carefully pulls open the minister's shirt, and discovers a hidden, seared mark of shame directly on the man's breast. That single glimpse gives Chillingworth total leverage. Under the guise of nursing Dimmesdale back to health, he morphs into a psychological parasite, using his proximity to actively and secretly torture the increasingly vulnerable minister. The torment drives Dimmesdale to brink of madness. Late one night, consumed by an unbearable weight, he walks out of his house and climbs onto the exact same scaffold where Hester was shamed years earlier. In the dark, an unexpected reunion occurs. Hester and Pearl are returning from the deathbed of a town elder. They see Dimmesdale standing alone, and they walk up the wooden steps to join him. Standing together, Pearl asks the minister a simple question. Will he stand with them on this platform tomorrow, in the daylight? Dimmesdale refuses, unable to face the public consequences. Suddenly, a massive, bright meteor streaks across the night sky, burning in the jagged shape of an A. The red flash illuminates the edge of the square, revealing Roger Chillingworth standing in the shadows, watching the 3 of them. Seeing her husband lurking in the dark, Hester realizes Chillingworth is slowly killing Dimmesdale. She intercepts the physician and officially revokes her vow of silence, telling him she will do whatever she must to protect the minister. Days later, she arranges a secret meeting with Dimmesdale in the forest. She finally tells him who Chillingworth really is. Desperate, they agree on a plan. In 4 days, they will board a ship and flee to Europe together. This second midnight scaffold encounter proves that their shared guilt cannot be resolved in the shadows. The forest meeting sets a strict 4-day ticking clock for a final reckoning. The day before the ship departs, Dimmesdale reaches the zenith of his public career. He delivers a brilliant, sweeping election sermon, receiving overwhelming praise from the entire Puritan community. But as the town celebrates, a devastating complication arises. Hester discovers that Chillingworth has uncovered their escape plan, and the old man has already booked himself a ticket on their exact ship. Leaving the church, Dimmesdale does the unthinkable. He steps away from the procession of dignitaries, walks toward the town scaffold in broad daylight, and calls Hester and Pearl to come up and join him. Facing the shocked crowd, Dimmesdale confesses. He admits to fathering Pearl, tells the town he should have stood beside Hester 7 years ago, and violently tears open his shirt to reveal the scarlet letter seared into his own flesh. Moments after his admission, Dimmesdale collapses and dies on the platform. With the secret finally public, Chillingworth's leverage vanishes, permanently destroying his lifelong plot for revenge. By publicly confessing his sin, Dimmesdale completely neutralizes the secret. It takes total daylight transparency to finally break the cycle of hidden guilt that held the town hostage. Robbed of his singular purpose, Chillingworth rapidly declines and dies within a year. In a final, surprising act, he leaves his massive fortune to Pearl. Free from the immediate grip of the Puritan settlement, Hester and Pearl leave the colonies entirely, moving across the Atlantic to start a new life in Europe. Years pass, and Hester returns to Boston alone. She takes up residence in her old cottage on the edge of the woods. By her own choice, she continues to wear the scarlet letter for the rest of her life, serving as a quiet counselor to other women in the community. When Hester finally dies, she is buried right next to Dimmesdale. They share a single tombstone, marked only with the letter A. The mark that began as a public brand of shame ends as a permanent symbol of their shared humanity.